In this presentation, I'm going to discuss common computer issues that users might encounter and provide practical solutions, from things like slow performance to data loss. Understanding how to effectively troubleshoot these problems can enhance someone's computing experience and hopefully reduce frustration. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. We will cover several common computer issues, starting with slow performance, how to resolve it. Then I will explore software crashes and freezes, internet connectivity problems, hardware failures, and finally data loss and recovery strategies. Each section will provide some solutions that you might like to try. Slow performance can hinder productivity and frustrate users. This section will highlight the common causes of slow performance and suggest some effective solutions to enhance a computer's speed. Many applications run in the background, consuming valuable resources. To improve performance, use the Task Manager, and you use Task Manager by going Control or Delete all at the same time. The Task Manager comes up, and then you use the Task Manager to identify the processes and close unnecessary ones to free up CPU and memory. Okay. Cache and temporary files can accumulate over time, slowing down your computer. Regularly clearing these files can enhance overall performance. Tools like Disk Cleanup can help automate this process. And if you go to the little Windows box, or the that looks like 4 windows, and you click on there and you look up Disk Cleanup, it will go to Disk Cleanup. And you should clean up probably your C drive, your D drive if you've got one. Okay. Sometimes enhancing a computer's performance will require hardware upgrades. So you will have to often upgrade by adding more RAM or adding a faster solid state drive. Might have to improve your motherboard or CPU. Might have to totally upgrade your entire computer. It depends on what sort of you're trying to do. But like if you're gaming or doing a lot of programming, for instance, you're going to need a much more like computer that's much more high powered. So you want to look at like at least an 8-core CPU. I would hesitate to think 2 terabyte RAM, especially if you're going to be gaming. You also know what's called a GPU, a graphic processor unit. You should have a very robust one. Like the CPU should be like an i9, Intel 9 version, because and this costs money, okay? So it's more expensive, but the reality is if you are going to be running things like a web browser or some type of application that's very heavy on resources, then you are going to have to get a computer that's much more capable of running that type of software and those types of applications, okay? So like you should have an SSD of like 1 to 2 terabytes, a HDD of 1 to 2 terabytes, or roughly maybe a bit more. And you probably should have an external SSD and an external hard drive. You can plug these in either USB, and you should probably look at cloud solutions as well. Software crashes and freezes are common frustrations that everybody experiences. And this section will discuss how to address these types of things, these issues. Outdated software can lead to crashes and compatibility issues. So you should ensure your operating system and software applications are up to date to benefit from the latest features and bug fixes. Now, your Windows computer, for example, should automatically update. Macs, you might have to update manually, and if you've got like a Linux or a mainframe, then you're going to have to perform updates. Make sure that any other software application you are updating and using regular patches for. Okay, and look, software crashes can also be because you're running too much at the same time, so you might only have to be able to run one more thing or another. And again, it also might be upgrading your system. Or it could be that your computer's got some kind of virus or malware on it. That's common too. Or it's got a lot of dust in the fan. That slows your computer down sometimes. Okay, so you should probably eliminate all possibilities that you can think of. Windows Defender does have like virus and stuff. You can also get some free virus options. There's paid ones, and you just got to look at what they supply to see if you think it's worth it for you. So malware, as I already said, can cause software to be unstable. Regularly running antivirus and malware scans can help protect your system and minimize crashes. So obviously, like Windows Defender, there's like the one that comes with Windows. There's others like AVG, there's Norton's, and there's others. So it would pay to price compare and to see what services they offer you and how that might help you. Okay, you should be very careful when downloading any software from the internet. Make sure it's from a trusted vendor. Don't just take it from any whoever, and don't click on links in software unless you absolutely know for sure what it is and you're expecting it. And just be very careful, like Microsoft Bing has got, like, you can use a free VPN. Windscribe, you can use a free VPN, and VPN is a virtual private network, and that helps mask your location, but also helps reduce the amount of hacks. Okay, so you should just be very, very careful about what sort of software you put on your PC or in your system, okay? If there is a specific program that frequently crashes, you could try uninstalling it and reinstalling it. This can often resolve underlying issues and restores functionality, or it could be that the particular program just doesn't run very well on your version of your PC. And a lot of software does come with, will only work on minimum level of whatever, to whatever terabyte RAM. So you should look at, say, how much disk space will this program need to run? Do you have enough disk space to run? How much memory does it run? Is there a level of processor it needs? And so that could be another thing too, is that the program and your system just do not work together, and there could be software that's clashing. You could try uninstalling it and see what happens, and you can try, disabling other things. But look, if it's software that you really want, it could be that you just need to tell the manufacturers and tell them that there's a problem, that, and that they might get back to you and fix, hopefully. Internet issues can disrupt your work and activities, especially everything is over the internet these days. It causes a huge problem. So I'm going to cover now some of the more common connectivity issues here. Okay. So you can start troubleshooting network connections by checking your network connection settings. Utilize built-in network troubleshooters to identify and resolve common connectivity issues quickly. Now, at the bottom of your screen, if you're using Windows, on your right-hand side, you should have like a little internet symbol. Or you can go to the left-hand side where the 4 windows is, and you click on and say settings. You want to go into settings and then network connectivity, and you can see what's going on. The other thing that could be issue is just like the cables become unplugged, or it's somehow broken. Like, is the modem turned on? Is the power on? I mean, these things sound like they're very simple, but they're often not. The other thing you could try is, like, the password that you're using for Wi-Fi is not correct. You don't have permission perhaps to use the network that you're trying to address. That could be a huge issue. Or the actual ISP, the internet service provider, is actually having an issue, like the backbone of the internet, there's a fault somewhere. And that can frequently happen, by the way, because it's often not very reliably installed like in nodes around. So you can look at your own system first, and sometimes restarting your computer can fix a lot of issues. And we say to people, try restarting it because it does fix a lot of issues, okay? If connectivity issues persist, you can reset your router or modem, and that's like generally any ISP or internet service provider will get you to try resetting your modem and router, okay? And I would do a full power reset, like I'd turn them off. If it hasn't got a reset button, some do, some don't. Turn it off or completely unplug it from the power, count to 30, 1 cat and dog, 2 cat and dog, you know, give it at least 30 seconds, and then try plugging it back in and see if that works. And if that doesn't, you could see if there's maybe the modem faulty. You could ring up your internet service provider. They might be able to help step you through what's going on, or they can tell you if there's a fault in your area, or they might just have to replace your router or modem for you, because that often is a cause of things going on. All the cables gotten damaged, or the Wi-Fi's gotten damaged, or the network card's damaged. Okay, so resetting modems is one way of solving some of that problem. Outdated network drivers can lead to connectivity issues, and this is again, you might need to update your network drivers. Regularly updating drivers can maintain stable internet connection and resolves related problems. So all your network drivers, so that could be to do with your network card or Wi-Fi drivers. They all use different protocols, like Wi-Fi uses certain protocols, Ethernet uses others. And so network connectivity drivers need to be updated, and some of them might come up with new versions to fix bugs as well. And again, like your internet service provider might be able to help you there, or they may not. It depends if it's an issue that, because really your PC is your responsibility. Okay, hardware failures. Hardware failures of a computer can be very frustrating and explicitly very daunting. And this section will help you remedy common hardware issues. Start by assessing the symptoms of hardware failures. Use diagnostic tools, and again, you go to that little box and you can find different diagnostic tools there to identify issues with components such as RAM, hard drives, and more. Now, often if you shut down a computer and restart it, it'll go through what's called its BIOS settings, and you can press escape and you can check on if what certain drivers and hardware like cards and hard disks are functioning correctly. And I would suggest people not play around with the settings, but at least run it through like all its memory checkups, a disk check. You don't play with the settings, but you can run and make it go through different checking. And it often will tell you as it's booting up saying trouble with, can't find boot sector of operating system, for instance, and that might mean your main hard drive or SSD drive or something is being damaged, or the card's been damaged, or for saying, you know, memory section can't be found, it often means your RAM's not working. Look, you can take the cover off a PC, but if you are going to play around with the innards of a PC, you need an electric static discharge strap, a grounding mat. Obviously, turn the computer off, so shut it down, turn it off, unplug it completely. You can also clip your electric discharge strap to the chassis of your computer, and you can check to see if, like, what the voltages are on certain parts of your motherboard. Now, you would have to look up motherboard specifics of your type of computer to see what they should be. But look, with a lot of that sort of stuff, if it's soldered in, it's going to be very, very difficult to unsolder and repair. if it's something you can just clip out and replace, that might be easier to repair. But like quite often, it's time consuming and expensive to repair a PC. Sometimes it's cheaper just to take the PC to someone who can scrap it for parts and materials and then get something else that's going to work, quite honestly. I mean, but this is going to be dependent on what you want. If a hardware component is identified as faulty, obviously replacement that's timely is crucial. You've got to purchase compatible parts and follow proper installation procedures to ensure your system functions correctly. Now, this is something you should probably only do if you have some idea of what you're doing. You should look up on the internet as into type which type of part is gone wrong, if you know, like describe the symptoms that you're getting on your PC. They might tell you, okay, it might tell you how to determine the type of motherboard and how to determine what voltages and current or readings you should be getting and what parts are going to work with that. And you could look that up on Google or Edge or Opera or Brave or whatever you're going to do. But look, again, this is something you should only do if you have some level of knowledge, okay? Regular maintenance and cleaning of hardware will prevent many issues. So dust buildup, yep, as I said, will lead to overheating. So use compressed air to clean fans and components periodically. And that's something, yes, you should do. And your computer can actually catch an electrical fire from too much dust as well. And look, dust in computers is a real issue because like electrical components don't like getting hot. They like to be sort of reasonably cool components. So cool environment. So you should make, you know, like try and clean your computers and keep liquids away from anything to do with electronics or electrical items. Anything liquid and electrical items do not mix ever. Data loss can be very catastrophic for people, right? And this section is going to offer some strategies that might help prevent data loss and recover data effectively. The best way, obviously, to prevent data loss is through regular backups. And this is where you could get like an external SSD or an external hard disk drive and just back up your data to that. That's probably the easiest and depending on the environment, maybe the most secure. Like there are some free cloud backup platforms like Google. If you're like got a Google address, you can get, I think it's 15 gigabyte of data storage. Other than that, you're going to have to start paying for data storage, and that would be through like AWS, Azure, different Google again. And the thing is too, you want to make sure that there's also copies of data like in external hard disk drive, and that point you'd be getting, you know, like really big hard disk drives, you know, like 28 terabyte ones. So you should back up depending like on what your data is and what it's for, because I mean obviously, you know the value of your data, and it's gonna, so I would like back up in multiple ways. And you can look up on Windows, there's even help on how to back up and restore data that's been corrupted. It's also too, like, unfortunately, people can sometimes play around with things they don't know anything about. Like they'll get into the command prompt of their Windows computer and do something like a format, which basically wipes your computer. Now, that doesn't get rid of your data completely, but it will disrupt it. You can recover some of it from that. I might do an fdisk, which would just petition. Petitioning means this section's for this section for this. These things are something you should not be playing around with unless you know what you're doing. All right, so backup and restoring is something that you should learn how to do very early on because it's going to be catastrophic. And most internet service providers will provide some cloud for free, How much is anybody's guess? Microsoft, if you've got Microsoft 365, the subscription, you get like a little bit. So look, this is where you need to look at what options there are, how much it's going to cost, and the sort of data that you want to keep. I mean, like if it's personal data, like photos or anything like that, that might mean the world to you. Or if it's a customer data, you know, like whatever, and that's going to be more important. So if data loss occurs, data recovery software can help retrieve lost files. You can you can get yourself familiar with reputable software options to recover important documents. Okay, so look, there are good and reputable software options that might not cost too much money to recover important documents, but as I said, it's not something you should absolutely rely on. Yes, it can recover some or most of your data, but it's not something you should say yes for sure. Okay? In cases of significant data loss, consider consulting professional data recovery services. These experts have advanced tools and techniques to recover data from damaged drives. Okay, so unless you physically destroy like a hard drive or an SSD or some other type of storage media, like as I mean put a drill through it, like as in to completely destroy it, then usually you can, even through if something's been formatted and FDisked and all the rest of that, you usually can through different tools like Xtree, and there's others that data can be recovered. So if you want to destroy a disk drive because you no longer use it because you've upgraded and you don't want anyone seeing what might have been on there, the best thing to do is probably, as I said, put a drill through the thing. All right. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what else you do, it's potentially recoverable. So understanding common computer issues and their fixes is essential for maintaining a good and effective and efficient computing experience. Now, this is something, look, honestly, with Microsoft Copilot or ChatGPT or Google or Microsoft Edge, you can look up how to do these things and then give you practical steps, simple steps that pretty much anybody can do. Okay, this is to try and help people understand that it doesn't need to be daunting. Thank you for your time.